Hey there, Wastelanders, it's Brother Mike, and today we're going to be talking about some of the biggest issues with Fallout Season 2. Now, before I get started, I really enjoyed Fallout Season 2. I've said this time and time again, but before we start this video, I enjoyed it. I liked some of the things they did, and I didn't like some of the things they did. But I feel like one of the biggest issues with Fallout Season 2, two of the biggest issues with Fallout Season 2, was the pacing and the way past characters were portrayed. Now, Brother Mike, what do you mean? Well, we start this season off, when we start this season off in the Wasteland, we see Lucy and the Ghoul, and it seems that the relationship has digressed a little bit, as well as Cooper's mentality and Lucy's mentality. And then also it seems that Hank's character had changed a little bit from a kind of businessman reaching for something, a part of Bud's Buds we didn't really fully know, to now a kind of genius and someone who worked on stuff, which they tried to shoehorn in there a little bit with some of his and Lucy's throwaway dialogue in the administrative vault. But there's the pacing. We spend time in the vaults to really get nowhere with it. Yes, we learned that Stephanie was Canadian, but that's showed in a flashback. We get that there's some stuff going on between Betty versus the Snack Club, which I think is the biggest waste of time in this season, besides Norm's plot, which Norm seems to be the only character who didn't change, except he kind of seems a bit more gritty now. But I'm sorry about that. I'm really sorry about that. But, yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. Because we see that Lucy and the Ghoul start to become friends almost, or at least acquaintances. They're stuck with each other. Now, we know that the Ghoul is only bringing Lucy along to use her as a bargaining chip, but it's inference that they start to become friends. But we never really see that. Yes, the Ghoul comes back and saves Lucy, but that's not because they're friends. It's because he needs Lucy for a certain goal. And while they try to portray this throughout the season, I don't feel like they're friends or really like each other at all. Just at the end, for them sort of to. I mean, Lucy punches the Ghoul out of a window, which lands him on a huge, also conveniently placed spike in the middle of Freeside, giving him his ghoul hole, his world-famous ghoul hole. And I don't care if you're my son. I don't care if you're my daughter. I don't care if you're the President of the United States. The next time I see you, if I'm surviving that, I'm going to end your life. But instead, he just nods his head at her. Now, obviously, he knows he's giving her up, but all that just so we can get a super mutant and that a war's coming, and then never expand on that. We're wasting time on certain things for what? It really doesn't make any real sense to me, because the time that you spent with the vaults and the little bit of time you wasted with Norm and the Vault 31ers that were supposed to be these super managers, but only one of them is smart and the rest are pretty stupid, and then one has only been there for a week and it's not emphasized on at all, and I thought we'd see that maybe she was like some sort of spy for maybe Moldaver or something, but we don't even get anything with her, and Norm ends up in pretty much the same spot he's left. It takes all those episodes just to tell something that literally happens in a day. That's what happens. It takes a day. It takes 8 episodes to show what Norm did in one day. Maybe 2 if we're pushing it. And then you give us the Legion for 13 minutes of 8 episodes. And they're supposed to be the bad guys now. But what about the Enclave, who you spent a lot of time inferencing to, but I guarantee we won't even see them much next season. So what was up with it? But then the pre-war stuff is like, holy moly, they really nailed the pre-war stuff. And if the Fallout show just turned into a pre-war drama, that would be better than throwing us into these places that we've been before and destroying lore that was already there and locations that were already there. Because guess what? If the pacing was done perfectly and you didn't feel like you needed to spend more time, I mean, we spent a lot of time with the Brotherhood of Steel in those first 4 episodes, nothing else. And you could have really stretched that out till the end, especially because I feel like we really didn't get much of Maximus. And we did, but it wasn't Maximus, it was the Brotherhood of Steel. And that's where they start to blend kind of these characters with these factions. When if you want people who don't understand these factions to understand them, you have to spend time with them, because no one really knows about the NCR. It's like, so they're like the government? Are they United States government? No, that's the Enclave, but wasn't the Enclave Vault-Tec? And it doesn't interconnect well. That's the thing. It felt like there was a lot cut out of this season. And that was something I really noticed in those first few episodes, is they're jumping around a lot. And I want to see what they took out. Did they not have enough time, or did they have too much time? That's where the biggest thing is. We need more episodes. 8 episodes is not enough. Maybe for a like pre-war drama of a company, which they could do perfectly. We have lots of stuff with lore in that realm that they could copy bar for bar or even kind of expand off of. But instead, we're stuck with very half-assed storylines, in my opinion. I mean, the NCR showing up didn't really feel deserved. It just felt like something we knew was just going to happen. Now, obviously, from the set leaks, we saw a bunch of NCR soldiers in Freeside, but I feel like we spent more time with Thaddeus himself than we did with Maximus himself, because most of the stuff with Maximus is with the other characters and not like by his lonesome, or I don't know if I'm portraying this across correctly, because I've been trying to find the best way to phrase this stuff, but it just felt sloppy. It felt like they had a direction they wanted to go to, but they didn't know how to intertwine it. And Lucy and the Ghoul are teleporting all over Vegas. And on top of that, they're adding so many new locations that, like, are these a little bit outside of the Mojave? Are they in the same region we saw? They're walking right past Vegas without going into it. It doesn't make much sense. Some of the locations of areas are a little out of the way. Us not knowing if that's actually the bottling plant, because it doesn't seem to be in the same area as it was before. The strip being moved a little bit. The new entrance with no explanation. It just... It didn't feel right. Every character felt different to me. The only characters that kind of stayed the same was Quintus and kind of the Ghoul. But even then, it seems that their motives were not in the same places when they left off, if that makes sense. Lucy was really dumbed down. Now, yes, she's still fresh out of the vault, but that first season was kind of seeing her get out of that kind of greenhorn stage, kind of getting out into the wasteland, going from a vaultie to a wastelander. And it kind of starts off again, and she's kind of dumb and nitwitted, and her choosing that legionary and Cooper Howard not commenting on it was so out of place. It's really what's been throwing me for an airball, because then there's scenes like when Cooper gives away Cold Fusion, or when he's putting Cold Fusion back into Mr. House's generator. And for such a big emphasis on House, for those who don't know who House is, you're still confused. You have to know the games to really understand this season. And that's what I've gotten from anyone who has not played the games. They have so many questions. And it's not about, like, what they should be asking about, like, where's the Enclave or what is the Enclave. It's more of like stuff that should have been pre-established at the start of this season. And yes, characters give lore, but then that lore is contradicted on immediately. And my proof of this is the Atomic Wrangler bar owner saying that they just migrated from Quarry Junction, but then apparently those Death Claws were being controlled by the Enclave. Yet I don't know why they just stopped in Quarry Junction at the start. And then also they did a really bad job at explaining all of Mr. House's systems in the Mr. House database, which a lot of big YouTubers aren't talking about. I'm the only person that seems to be talking about that stuff. Go check out that video because I'm honestly going to make another video about it because there's so much there that nobody is talking about. And it seems no one really cares about it either. But it's some actually pretty cool lore about Robco and how he was watching everyone and how it kind of adds to the reason he knew all this was going to happen and that he claims he knows everything is not because he's predicting it all. He's seeing it all unfold in front of him. Yes, he's still predicting stuff. Yes, he's making the calculations and algorithms and whatnot that he makes. But this adds a whole other side to his genius. And also with the whole Vault-Tec Administrative Vault, we didn't get much with that. We just get throwaway lines. When in the first season, it felt like stuff was, while it was spoon-fed to us, we learned it. We got vibes from different things. You saw characters in certain factions talk about those factions and why they believe in it, or why they don't believe in it, or what issues they have with it. But here, it's just all thrown at us. This whole season was just thrown at us. And it felt like you were getting so much each episode. And those first few episodes were really strong. And then there was parts of episodes that just fell flat on their head. And that was the Betty versus the Snack Club thing. I mean, I can't even remember the leader of the Snack Club's name anymore. That's why I keep referring to it as the Snack Club, because they turned Bro into an idiot. They turned all of the Vaulties into an idiot. Yet they made Norm kind of more aggressive, you could say. Not physically aggressive, but more like intellectually aggressive. Now, the thing that they did with him where he says, oh, I'm Bud's apprentice. I'm in charge. Bud's not around anymore. That's smart. That's Norm's character. But then everything else he does isn't. And the convenience of stuff isn't. And it just doesn't make sense. I've been trying to make sense of it. And I've watched these episodes 3 to 4 times minimum, making all the videos that I did on it. And I'm still left with questions. I looked in the background of everything. And then you give us these end scene credits where it zooms out. And it's nothing that really pertains to the show. And it just leads us down bigger rabbit holes. Like, how are there so many legionaries in Gamorra, yet there's none on the strip or around the strip? Did they attack? What happened to Camp McCarran? We're never going to know that. They're not going to tell us what happened to those areas. And also where they moved them, by the way, because they've moved and shifted around a lot, which wouldn't be an issue at all if the story was very good. But there's holes all throughout this story. And that's why, brings me to my biggest point, we should have never gone to New Vegas. Yeah, we should have never gone. We should not go to any of the game locations. Because what does that do? It will invalidate somebody's playthrough. Somebody's actions that they took. And people who defend the show relentlessly, you're defending rushed slop. This was a filler season. This was a filler season because they did not have enough money to do New Vegas. They spent $30 million minimum each episode. Now, let's look at the Game of Thrones, A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. They spent 3 to 5 max. And what they're able to do with 2 less episodes and I think about 20% less of the runtime is tenfold what the Fallout show is able to do. Now, these are 2 different genres. 2 completely different genres. but it shows how throwing money at something and making big elaborate sets isn't going to push back that you rushed in the writing room. And I'm really hoping they're not rushing again, because they're going to make big mistakes that they're not going to be able to backtrack, because now this is in canon. And I think, at least for my lore brain, season 2 doesn't seem so canon to me. It seems like people who saw all of the endings and said, how do we mush this all together? The easiest way to mush it all together would have just been to given us a Yes Men ending where Mr. House takes over. And it's kind of ambiguous. You don't know if Mr. House won, or if Yes Man won, or if it's actually Yes Man, or shoving Robert in our face the entire season. You should have just went with the house always wins. Really, what they should have done is not have this second season revolve around Vegas, but just happen to be in Vegas. That would have been a lot better. Because what is in Vegas? Or outside of Vegas? Near the ski resort? The Enclave Bunker. Maybe that's where Hank would have ran off to. And we could have seen other characters. And instead of ruining everything we did in the game before, you could have kind of just done a fan service. That would have been a whole lot better. As if Lucy and the Ghouls stumbled into Good Springs and made their way the same way the Courier did, and made their way into New Vegas. And Vegas was bright, and maybe they went into the Tops Casino to pay homage to Benny and such. And Matthew Perry. That would have been huge. That really would have been huge. But they didn't. And we saw places, things destroyed. I mean, the one location that they got spot on was Camp Golf. Camp Golf looked exactly like it did in the game, besides it being destroyed, of course. And that's it. Now, obviously, there's places that look the same, and then there's places that were so butchered that it doesn't really make sense and looks like they just needed a set. Atomic Wrangler. But that's all. I don't know, and it makes me scared for season 2, or season 3. And sorry that this is more of a ramble video, but I've been working hard on this Fisto and Nuka-Cola video, and I really should just focus on one, but I'm hoping to have that out by the end of this week. So please be patient with me. But yeah, I'm stressed. Every time I try and talk about this, it ends with me rambling. So this will probably be in the vault. I'm sorry for the lack of live streams and uploads. That last video, though, my lord, this 6 types of fans, that got a lot of engagement. So thank you guys so much. We are like at 1,540 subscribers already. That's insane. I think we literally got 70 subs in like 4 or 5 days. So thank you guys so much. Let me know what you want me to talk about. Tomorrow's video will be a lot more planned out than this. I just needed to ramble about this because I've been seeing people effortlessly praise this show. Well, yes, it's amazing, and we got a lot of amazing stuff, but I don't want the next season to be like this season, and that's extremely valid to say. And now that bigger creators have put out their videos talking about it, it seems people are more enlightened to, you know, not be so bandwagony on it, but it's just frustrating because season 1 was structured really well, and there's only a very few little things of criticism I have, and it's more like the mainstream things, like them just giving us like an ending to Shady Sands on a chalkboard is really lazy. It seemed that they had places that they really wanted to go and to explore and things to get to, but they didn't know how to, and so they just put it all out there. They filmed all of it, and then they went, how do we connect all this? Because what happened from Lucy and the Ghoul being 10 feet from the gate, it took them 4 or 5 hours to get through that gate, and it's nighttime now on the Strip. and they dumbed down the death clause. Now, I'm not saying intelligent death clause to that one dude. There's one dude that keeps saying, well, of course there wasn't going to be. I don't want intelligent death clause. There's one left that we know of, and I would rather we see him in a game and they not bring that in, which is a big thing. We don't need cameos from past characters. We don't. Because it's just going to end with a dumpster fire like what was before. Because I don't want you messing up Raul or something like that. I really wanted to see Raul on some of these characters, but I don't want to see what they do with them now. And as a Fallout fan, I shouldn't think like that. I should want to see these characters again. I should be excited about what's to see, but now I'm worried. In that video I made way back in that second or third episode, did the Fallout show Rude New Vegas? That question's still up in the air because we're still in New Vegas. And I thought we'd be leaving New Vegas. Realistically, I wish that Maxon showed up and they were heading off to the Commonwealth, but I don't want them to mess up the Commonwealth. I don't know. This was more of a ramble video, so I hope all of you have been having a wonderful day. If you enjoyed this video and you're new around here and you've made it to this point in the video, why don't you consider subscribing? Like the video. Go check out my last video. I am very proud of it. But yeah, I appreciate you guys so much on 1,540 subscribers. And with all of that being said, you don't forget, you are cared for, you are loved, and you stay safe out there, Wastelanders.